We just got finished looking at the Friday the 13th franchise. And you can at times look at a movie like this that can be a bit formulaic. Okay, there's people at a camp, there's a killer, you know, it's easy to do. It's like it's easy money. You just go in, you make that movie, it's simple to do. Today we're going to find out that it's not that simple to make one of these films. In fact, when it's done wrong, it can be painful. All right. And before we even start that, I want to say right away, I'm sorry, guys, that you guys were subjected to this, but I thought it would make a fun bookend to the Friday the 13th series. In 2000, after at the popularity of like Scream had come out in 1996, so we had around 4 years of meta horror. Um, there's a bit of a pushback in the indie horror scene. See, as popular as Scream was, a lot of people felt like the whole roots of slashers have been forgotten. The killers, the serious slashers, the 1981 era golden age of slashers had passed us by, and we were stuck in this metaverse where horror didn't quite take itself as seriously. John Stevenson would go out to write two films to try and change that. Was he successful? Well, we're going to talk
Yeah.
about. So, Dad, what are your thoughts on the first bloody murder?
I think it's a masterpiece, one of the very best films of all time. And before we get into anything else, please don't tell me that these actors are your favorite actors from the last year's soap or something. Please don't mention their acting, even if they acted in Gone with the Wind. Don't say anything. Just concentrate on this movie only. First
Remember,
of
he
all, we
called it
have a movie
master.
about a serial killer. Serial killer who's not there. The invisible serial killer. And in the name, Trevor Morrow. If he was called John Smith, it'd be scarier. You know, and it's so puny looking, you can knock him over with a pillow. Uh, and everybody keeps saying, "Who is Trevor Morrow?" And I'm still waiting to find out who he is. After two movies, we get a little, some sort of a talk about what he might have been. But in the first movie, nobody knows what he is. It's the same old thing. A bunch of kids go to the camp. A couple of them there to have sex. Another one tagging along. Another one is a jokester, prankster. It's the same formula. Uh, the kills in the first one are pitiful. Pitiful, pitiful, pitiful. I don't know if you want me to talk just about the first one or both of them, or it's just strictly the first one.
Do whatever you want to. We'll go with whichever way you want to go. If you
Because it's
feel
hard
like
not to
you
talk
should go
about
into
both of
one.
them. Yeah, it's the same plot, so just we'll talk about both of them. I'm only going to say the same thing about the second one, with the exception of nudity. And and I know you like Tiffany Shepard, but we got to like her for the nudity in this movie, you know, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure Malcolm was appreciative of that. Uh, the the murders in the second one was brutal, funny too. The first guy got his leg chopped off, then he wasn't satisfied. He chopped off his other leg, and God, that was just so silly. And that a couple of good ones. But basically, I liked the second one a little better. Because of the nudity, and I thing about the second one, I knew the killer was right away. That was no just first look at that sheriff. I knew he was the killer. Knew first one give you a little bit of leeway. You might think it was someone else. Give you a little bit, try to throw you off the track, sort of thing. Uh, First one, I I don't know what to give it. I'll give it a 2 for effort. I give it a 2 for effort, and nice scenery. The second one I
Okay,
give
what
a
about
3
you?
because it has a nudity, and I like the second one a little better. At least I'm more entertained with the second one, so I'll give that a 3. Okay, Malcolm, do your thing.
I'll do my thing. Here we go. So they all turn up into the camp, right? And you're like, what's going on here? Right? And then, actually, no. Let's start from the very beginning. So the car breaks down. The guy has to go and get some petrol, right? Some gasoline, whatever you want to call it, wherever you are. He leaves. He bumps into Mr. Morehouse and he runs into the bushes where he's going to fall over branches or stuff. But Mr. Morehouse, right, decides he's going to start chopping down some branches and trees along the way. So it's going to slow down more, you know. He's not in a rush with that little chainsaw in his hand. You know, Trevor Morehouse is a really, really considerate guy because he wants to cut so no one else trips over next time. So then we get to meet the group of absolute numpties in the car. Oh, you know, this and oh, right. They pull over into the camp, and you're like, oh, look, there's a whole load of people here. So there's going to be a lot of kills. There's going to be a lot of amazing stuff we're going to see. Right, and then you find out the guy's got a problem with another guy because they raced each other, and the guy broke his knee like 3 meters from the finish line. And you're like, you broke your knee that far, it's that close. Ah, and you just sit there going, what a poor fella. So then you meet the group over and over again, and you meet the guy who's in charge, and you're like, this guy screams. You know, like he's going to try and sexually assault these women. Because, like, yeah, I like these. Oh, yeah. Ooh, I'll try and find out where Jason is. I'll try and find out where little Timothy is. Right? And you're like, but then you walk the opposite direction. So slowly people start going missing, people getting killed. The screen goes black on some of them, so you feel like you're watching a bad TV movie that's on at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So then you get these bits where the blonde girl, I don't remember what her name is, so I'm going to call her Jolly Sandy, right? Jolly Sandy decides she's going to constantly contact her dad on the web, right? She's typing away, dear Dad, I hope you're doing well. What happened to Nelson? You know, and then the dad responds with, hello there, pumpkin. You know, we like these movies, and I don't remember anything in the woods happening. But Dad, there's a picture of you with this person called Nelson. Oh, tell me, what did Nelson look like? He wore a mask, and he fell in the canal, right? And you're sitting there going, oh, come on, who does this? Who communicates like this? Why don't you just get on the blower and call him, right? Anyway, so that happens, and then you've got a roommate, Drew, who I've got to be honest, I would say has severe dad issues, because as soon as the dad turns up, she's all over him. She's like, oh, that's hard to believe you haven't been with a woman in years. Oh, why don't we go and walk down to the water? Oh, do you see my tight little shorts? And you're like, this is the closest thing we get to nudity in this movie, bending over in these shorts. So then there's a bit where everybody's like, oh, we know the killer is, don't we? We know who it's going to be. And then we get a massive surprise, right? It's not who we think it is. It's a short, skinny dude who, if I knocked him like this, he'd go flying. What the hell? Oh, and the other thing is this, right? Let's get to some of the kills. One guy gets a dart thrown through his chest from inside where he was. I don't know how that person was hiding in there. Were they putting balls on their face or something? Like, so anyway, he gets it from him. He's like, oh no, oh, well, like this. So there's a point where apparently the lead character, Jolly Sally, or whatever I said her name would be, Jolly Sandy, right, decides that the killer's true. The killer's true. And there's this flashback of her in the pantry, in the doorframe. But what she forgets is when all that happened, Drew was actually helping her back to get her leg sorted. So Drew had her in her arm like this, helping her along. But apparently, she also killed the people. And you're like, this tells you, right, when the film makes no sense. The other thing you've got to think about is why wasn't there any hot lesbian action in this? Because you feel through the whole movie, but Drew and the lead woman, the lead girl, are getting interested in each other. Because it's always like, oh, I really like your toes. Oh, I like your hair. Oh, let's go down to the outside toilet and let's just play with each other. And that's what would have been better. So when we finally get the reveal, right, you're standing there and she thinks, you killed my dad, right? And then this short little man, right, with a really bad mask on, which doesn't look like he's intimidating at all. It looks like he's going to a kid's fancy dress party and going to come last. He walks up with like this thing like this, and then they fight him off. And the main girl, jumps into the water and starts swimming away because she's a coward. Leaves Drew behind. He's supposed to be her best buddy. Then she runs off. He runs the other way, and the next thing you know, it's the camp guy, right? He runs out of nowhere, and he's like, let me make sure you're okay. Come on, let's go. And then there's a 20-minute running sequence of him chasing her, and you're like, whoa. And she falls over and smacks her knee and head and everything on the floor and gets up again and keeps running. And you're like, what the hell is going on in this movie? Oh, and the best part is when the bodies fall on him and trap him. The best part is when those bodies fall down and they trap him off and he's like, oh no, oh, right? And you're sitting there and you're like, how can you go from being a really competent killer who can clean up whole areas in 20 minutes and then be the most incompetent person ever? And then when he gets to the car where the others are, he's got the knife behind his back. Well, there's axe, and it's like, she's gone crazy. She's bashed her head. She's hurt herself. And then the other boy grabs the shotgun and he forgets to you have to load it. So then he gets shot by Joe. And everybody's like, oh, Joe, we knew you'd come and help us. And you're like, bye-bye, Dad. Bye-bye, you're still floating in the water. Right? Nobody jumped in to help you. You're still floating down the water. Because when people jumped in, they didn't go, we have to help him. So he's probably still floating there in the sequel 5 years later. What a brilliant comedy. It's so funny. It's so funny. But yeah, at the very end,
don't take it so serious,
the other end,
break you, Malcolm.
The guy doesn't give me. The guy goes, "Don't give me a break," because she decides to get off with the other boy, and then we get the big reveal of Trevor Morehouse, and that's it. That's the end. So yeah.
Do you want to dive into the second one too, or do you want to go back and forth on the first one?
I'll take a break for a minute, and I'll go to the second one after.
All right. Well, this is not one guy that I can actually defend. Guys.
Malcolm is just too serious. Right? Too serious.
I'm normally the person
take it too serious, Malcolm.
Well, I can get through it.
To come in and try and defend these movies, I can't. I can't here. I can't, guys. I'll do the facts part first because that's what I do.
The facts, man.
So Jules, the lead actress, I know her from One Life to Live. Like there's your soap opera connection with this one. This is your last soap opera connection, by the way, guys, for this series. She played a very big part in One Life to Live. She was in it for about 10 years. Poor girl. I guess she had to eat too. She had to make sandwiches, so she did this movie. Poor her. Patrick Cavanaugh plays Toby. What a friggin' shock that was! Because I remember I was watching this, and I was texting with Malcolm last night, and I'm watching the movie, and there's a point where I'm like, "What the fuck? Is that the guy from Mad Men?" And Malcolm's like, "I think so." So I did wait till after the movie's over before I checked, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's Smitty from Mad Men. That's the guy. That's an actual show. He actually got on an actual show." So for those that don't remember, Toby's the one that did the Randy character, the one that's supposed to know a lot about like movies and have these references.
Yeah.
But there's this one scene where the cop is talking to him because he's supposed to be given like I
Oh,
think it's tour.
it says the whole breakdown, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's doing this breakdown, but he says that, okay, yeah, we were watching the movie together. I had to say about the VCR because the VCR was pretty crappy. But I think like he would have been able to go out, kill the person, put on the mat, put on the outfit, kill the person, bury the body, go back to the pantry, clean up the blood, and come back in 7 minutes. He said, yeah, that seems like a logical thing somebody could do in 7 minutes. There's one good kill in this movie, in this entire freaking movie, and they ruin it 10 seconds later. The throat slash kill with Drew, really well done, by the way, but you can't die like that. You can't just leave it at that. No, the killer has to come back with the little 3-prong thing and just like kind of tap him in the back twice. Did you notice that? Just a couple of just little tapping in the back just a couple of times. Every single one of these actors, except for one, there's a blonde guy, and I mentioned this last night. Every time he went off the screen, I forgot his character existed. And every time he come back on, but who's that? Oh yes, it's that blonde guy that I forgot about. Everybody else, if you've ever watched Buffy, everybody else seems like that they've tried it for the role of Xander and they didn't.
Yes.
They're interchangeable. They're so alike you could almost forget who is who. And the girl that played Drew, I thought she did pretty good. She was really cute. But that being said, I gotta yes, Malcolm, I totally agree on the emails. Holy crap. What's even better though is she's reading was it Drew's or somebody's message, right? That she gets off the board, and you can tell because it's so badly done that the girl is literally with a microphone right beside her, like reading the message. She's looking at the message. The girl's reading it off camera, but it's so friggin' obvious. It is so obvious.
The narration's so great on the emails as well, where you keep hearing the voices. It's like, oh dear.
I know. Did that bother you guys? Did you get like kind of taken out of it every time those emails started? Did you kind of crack up a bit?
Yeah,
because I did. I couldn't. It was like aliens. Like nobody.
You know what my scissors are?
Yeah, I love that scene because she's like, this actually was a good scene because like, do you know where my scissors are? And then 10 seconds later, like the phone line is cut, like the phone's not working. So they're obviously trying to make her look like the killer, right?
Yeah.
And I'd forgotten this movie a lot, guys. So I really did. I thought, oh, Drew's the killer, right? Because I barely remember this movie at all. So I kind of thought she was.
Yeah.
Surprising me, most of all, was the guy that I thought was the best actor in the film, by the way, was the killer, was the actual killer. Never acted in anything else afterwards. I guess he must have been he was embarrassed. He just felt like, okay, this is it. I've done it.
That campiness at the end, really, that hammy acting was like.
Yeah. And it's always like, and we all should be more suspicious because he's always like, oh yeah, he said he might be gone. Like, I can't find my boyfriend. Oh yeah, he said he might be gone. It's like a Lifetime movie. There's no nudity. There's very little gore in this film. I think that throat slash was the biggest gore scene, right?
Yeah, it was.
They could have
probably the dart through the chest.
Oh yeah, God, so bad. One of them, it looks like he's holding like the arrow like this, on his arm. So yeah, guys, no, this is one of these times when I'm the outlier. This was not a good film. I had fun with it for what it was, which isn't much. The reveal of the killer, I did like. Trevor Morehouse. Okay, this is what I was going to say, and I want your guys' thoughts on this one. So it's Crazy Ralph in these like Friday 13th movies, right? He's always like, "Oh, you're doomed. You're going up there. The people die up there, right?" Or if like or if they're around the camp, right? They're talking about Jason Voorhees. Okay, that's normally what you do. Okay, Friday 13th movie starts off. Now, let me tell you the tale of Jason Voorhees. Great. Who the fuck is Nelson? Like we've been introduced to who Trevor Morehouse is, but all of a sudden this guy comes along and says Nelson. You know who Nelson is to me? The bully from The Simpsons. That's who Nelson is to me. Nobody else, but no Nelson mentioned me for this. Where the fuck did Nelson come from? we do find out, but it makes no sense. Why did they do this? Did that
The fun of it, I guess.
did that make sense to you? Did you
Yeah.
kind of think, did he say the wrong word?
I was
Did he say the
like,
wrong
did this guy come out of like a hospital or something for the day and be, like told all these random facts to be said? Because that's what it felt like, we didn't see him get killed either, which was depressing.
Yeah. I thought when I first watched it that he said the wrong name. I thought he said the wrong name. So, it must have been a glitch. He said the wrong name. Dad, did you notice the Nelson thing?
I just love how the movie, when she's contacting her dad, right, it's like she's Nancy Drew in it, when you play the video games of Nancy Drew, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, how can I find out this? Oh, Nelson, who's Nelson? Oh, Nelson. But no one ever goes, oh, do you mean Trevor Morehouse? Didn't mean this or that,
And there's even like a thing with the cops talking about like, oh yeah, everybody blames Trevor Morris for everything.
Crazy.
My cat got stuck in the tree, Trevor Morris. And when we do see Trevor Morehouse, oh my God, is it the most unintimidating, saddest thing ever? I'm a bigger guy than Trevor Morehouse is. Guys, I'm 5'9", okay? I'm not a big guy. But I was bigger than this guy playing Trevor. I'm pretty sure
I love how you can always tell it's Trevor Morris because it's got like a scarf around his neck constantly, but the other guy never does.
Yeah.
So you always know it's Trevor Morris because he's got a scarf because he likes to keep warm.
And they're so careful to use the hockey mask, right? Like to make it not look like the Jason mask by using the cheapest hockey mask possible. Which is actually a much more realistic version of a hockey mask than what we see in Friday 13th. But like there was like this movie but about these women like that were assaulted by this guy, like and they went to like this, I think they get revenge. And he wore that mask.
I know what that film is. Yeah. I think it's got a negative word in the middle of it. I think it's like female R Squad or something.
It's a weird film, like, and it's very tame, like when you actually watch it.
But it was in the 70s, right?
Yeah, but not less tamer than this. No tamer than this. This is tame as hell. So with part 2, Malcolm, Dad, or wants to talk about it. I know Dad talked about part 2. I don't know if anything else he wants to say, or that Malcolm wants to just go in on it, because I feel like even though this is written by the same person, there's a lot of differences here.
We made the big mistake on the first one. We forgot to mention the shower scene.
Oh, no, it's the second one.
Is that the second one?
Yeah.
Is it the
That's
second
one of the best scenes in the whole franchise.
Okay, because I thought it was the first one where he's in the wrong when you think he's in the way of the girl when it's not, but it's the other guy.
No, because they
redo it again in the second one, but different.
Because in the second one, like I don't know, but in the second one, here's how I know that we got the shower scene in the second one, unless I fell asleep during part of the first one, which wouldn't be surprising, because the first one, it's like the whitest bread cast you're ever going to see. So, but I know in the second one, not so much.
Okay, well, it's easy to get mixed up when they're the same movie practically.
Yeah.
So we start the movie off. Let's just skip through all the stuff that's the same. 80% of the movie is exactly the same as the other movie, but there's nudity in it and there's more gore. Like Glenn said earlier, when the guy gets his legs chopped off, it's the most hilarious thing ever because he's crawling on the floor with his legs off, and he even looks at his leg. He even goes like this when he's looking at the leg, like, oh no, what? And you're like, these people will play bloody murder, then get killed, wouldn't they, straight after? And then there's a guy that notices the guy cheating on his girlfriend like he did in the first movie. But this time we have some nice nudity. We have a lot of bouncing. We have a lot of all this other stuff. We have a lovely naked shower scene. We have a lovely naked part in a car. And then then she gets killed, right? And all I kept thinking, so she gets hit in the face, right?
Yeah.
And all I kept thinking was, I bet that wasn't the first time she's been hit in the face. And you know, it really really made me laugh because it was like so, you know, it's like she got splattered. So I think there's I like it. I liked the difference. There was more. It was more violent. There was the right sense of horror in it more, even though it was still bad. At least it felt like a bad actual horror movie instead of just a bad like horror Hallmark Lifetime movie, because you got some actual gore in it. You got some good violent moments in it. I loved the deaths, not all of them, but I loved them. I loved how the final 15 minutes where you had the guy chasing, then you had the police officer chasing, and you're like, what's happening? And then you find out the big reveal. But the father is Clayton Morehouse. Da, da, da. And he's like, Trevor, what are you doing here? Trevor, ooh. And Trevor kills his own father. And then for some reason, Trevor Weiss revs up the chainsaw and walks towards the woman, right? The lead, who actually is really attractive. I wish she'd got her kit off, right? And he's chain, and all of a sudden he just puts it down and walks off and drags his father away. And you're like, what's he doing? Why did he kill his own father? Did his father do this to him? And then we have to talk about the different outfit, right? So I know Aaron didn't like this outfit. He didn't like this look. I preferred it because at least it was more covering. It was more puffy to make him look more intimidating. So when it was scanning him, it made him look bigger. As the other one just looked like a weird guy in a boiler suit trying to act like a tough guy. So when we get to it and it ends, the very ending, we find out the most important thing. But the reason she survived was because Jason came to her in a dream. And he helped her by shining the light upon Trevor Morehouse because his father, Clayton, had killed him, killed her brother. And he says, you always remember your first. So we learned that this guy is probably about 60 odd years old, didn't kill anybody until he was about 55. Now, being a police officer, you know, he must have been shit at his job because you know, it happens, doesn't it, in the line of work. But in saying that, he is in the you know, boonies kind of areas, so obviously maybe there isn't enough people to shoot out of there. I love the dialogue between the goes to I'm more likely to get killed than you are, you know, because you're like, yeah, this is a running joke, isn't it? With the whole, you know, oh, I'm going to get killed because I'm black, and you're going to get killed probably less because you've had sex. That was a good little bit. I enjoyed that bit. I thought that was a great bit of dialogue. The bit where she gets upset because her boyfriend just left, even though he was killed, and then had sex right by his body was hilarious. You know, and her going, oh, why did you do this to me? Oh, I'm going to get off with another woman's boyfriend right here because I can. You know, they don't make women like this anymore. And these are the type of women we need in the world. So, you know, if my best friend leaves you behind, you come with me. That's how it works in these movies. So I rate this one a 2 out of 5 because I enjoyed it more, but I still feel like it was lacking. It was lacking in the acting ability. It felt better, but at the same time, it just didn't feel good. What about this bit? You two will remember this. So the police officer goes into the grocery store thing, right? The convenience store. And you're like, oh, where's she hiding? And he walks by the bin, and all of a sudden she jumps out. And you're like, what? She jumped out the bin. So, like, how did you have time to get in that bin, squat down, put all that paper on you, and then jump out?
Well, as Toby would say, there's a lot you can do in a couple minutes.
So, yeah, it was very weird, but I did enjoy it more than the first one. But all I kept hoping was that they'd show, like, the dad from the first one floating in the water, you know.
Oh.
That'd been great. Oh, dear.
It was for me, this was definitely a step up from the last one. And 90% of that, 90% of it is Tiffany Shepard's. Because not only does she do great with the nudity aspect of it, she's the best actress in the whole freaking film. she's the most believable character in the film, and I'm like, I'm good. Yeah, I like her. Like she's badass. You know, when she has to do the nudity stuff, she does nudity. When she's got to like act like the tough girl, the tough girl with like heart of gold type thing. She does. She was the only character I was kind of sad when she died.
Yeah.
I didn't give a rat's ass for anybody else. Like my problem with the mask, although it is better, well, concede that one, Malcolm, 100%. It's just the way it was. It seemed like it was kind of sloppy. Like
Yeah,
it
a
was
little
kind of
bit.
like, okay, you're Jason in the first movie, and you're Michael in the second movie. So here's a really cheap like mask, and there's kind of like
Yeah.
a black kind of hood thing over it. Just and now he's got like the, I guess because it's part two, because Friday
The
13th part two had
overalls,
the
right?
overalls. He's got to have overalls too. So there's one actor, well, not actor, one character that comes back for this one, and that's the character Jason, but he's recasted in this one here. He looks very much different. If you didn't know, if you're watching these movies back to back, you'd have no friggin' idea that he's supposed to be Jason from the first movie, right? The one that
He
gets killed. Right?
regenerated.
Yeah, because he's he became a better looking dude, and he's much more buff. The nightmare sequences were pretty good. The guy that directed this, by the way, guys, would do a lot of Criminal Minds episodes and would go on to I'm sure is one of your favorite like horror sequels of all time, Leprechaun in the Hood. I'm not joking.
Actually, that is my favourite, funny enough, because I can quote that. A friend in need is a friend with weed. Knock, knock, who's there? Goldfinger. See, I remember those.
Yeah, well, we'll do those sometime. But that's Rob Spiro, actually, the director for that.
You should. I love that movie.
This was fun. I mean, like overall, was it good? Fuck no. I mean, like, Dad's right. Like, at least in the first one, there was no idea. Like, what was an idea? You could guess who the killer was, but there was a bit of a twist to it. No point in this movie. There's no point in part two where you don't know who the killer is. That you don't know it's that guy. It is the most obvious guy. It's like, guys, remember Return to Sleepaway Camp? Remember when Felissa Rose comes on dressed up as a cop with the voice change, and it's so obviously her that it's hilarious. Like this cop is so obviously the killer. You just should have like a big friggin' sign, like I'm the killer, in every scene, because that's what's like, I'm the killer. I thought that the murders were hilarious. When he cut off his legs, threw his leg in front of him. Like, what a dick move, man. Like, what a dick move to do. I mean, are we supposed to, I guess, are we supposed to like empathize a bit more with Trevor now? Because he lets the girl live. I'm not quite sure. We find out because in the first movie.
It's weird because when he looks at her, he's revving that little chainsaw up.
Yeah.
Right. And he walks over to her, and then all of a sudden he just goes, and originally I thought he was going to take his mask off. It was going to be her brother.
Yeah, actually, I thought that too. But it was different. I mean, like, it wasn't good. It was better than the first one. Like,
what about the pager parts? The bits with the pager were hilarious.
Good. Thank you so much. I wanted to mention that. Did you like that? I love that because her boyfriend, Tiffany Shepard's boyfriend, has this like unique pager sound.
Yeah.
So,
and it goes off throughout the whole film at different parts. Like the killer's holding it, it's by the body, and she's like, just turn that off constantly.
It's this little MacGuffin thing that they put in there.
Best line from the movie. I knew he had a girlfriend, but I thought he still liked me and respected me, but he just left.
Yeah. Like it was, I mean, there's some points there, but there were some nice points. There's some nice directing points here. Like you mentioned before, the shower scene. So there's a sequence in there where two of the cops, the deputies, take each of them to go have a shower before they take them. Like it makes no sense, but okay. They're like, oh, we guess we gotta have a shower before we leave. So the girl goes into the shower and the guy goes into a shower. And there's a deputy behind both of them. Now, by both of the showers. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, Malcolm, but the deputy that we see get hit is the one by the girl's shower.
Yeah.
But it's not the girl's shower that he goes into.
Oh.
It's the guy's shower.
And that's a really tense moment as well.
It's so well done. I mean, it's something like there was points in this, like points for directing in this film right here. The writing is still they should have got a better
Back
writer.
a second.
They should have got a better writer. Like the guy that directed the first one, that wrote the first one, and directed the first one, and the guy that directed the first one, those two guys together, yes, they're perfectly banal and bland. So they fit each other. But the director is much better here, but the writing is so bad, which is so sad. Because and some of the casts are not like most of the cast here, by the way, didn't do anything afterwards except for Tiffany Shepard.
Well, I'll be honest with you. To me, I'd rate this up with Lover's Lane.
I could see that. I mean, like, because the directing's good. I mean, like, both of the films do suffer a little bit from some like not so solid.
Yeah, they're both very weak. They both have good moments, but they're both really.
Yeah.
Especially
So
at the end.
I'm going to give this a 3 for what it is. For to put it up against those films, I didn't score the first one, which is going to get a 1.5 actually, because I did. There's a couple sequences I liked in the first one, but no, this was much more solid. So I'll give it a 3 for what it is. Now, obviously, if this was going up against like a regular film, like it wouldn't get a 3. Like it wouldn't get a 3. It'd be getting a 2. Under normal circumstances, guys, this would get a 2. For like a straight to video, cheap ass budget film, I'll give it a 3 for that.
Oh, nice. So, yeah, they're decent ratings, I think.
Bit of a painful watch, not gonna lie. Like there's like Tiffany, thank you, Tiffany, for your
It's good.
Like, brave nudity. Though, if you want to see a better movie with Tiffany Shepard in it, watch Nightmare Man. That's a good one. She's really good in that. And I think we still get some nudity sequences too, but she's actually the star.
The question now is, what's next on the review list?
Oh, it is. I do not know. That is my. You guys are so lucky. I'll say it on camera. You guys almost had to watch Annville Scarecrow movies, but I at the last minute I gave you a
We should have watched Annville Karen.
Oh my God, I don't know if I can do that. That is going to be something. I live a life of like when I was in Canada of dealing with Karens. So I've dealt with the scariest Karens of all. But man,
I say we watch the Stepmother trilogy.
There's a few. What I have to do is I got to look through because I got to find ones that we can all see. It was the thing initially. For those that don't know, we had planned to watch Camp Blood 1, 2, and 3, or sorry, Camp Blood 1 and 2, and Within the Woods, which is Camp Blood 3. But wasn't able for my dad. My dad wasn't able to find it.
Yeah, they're not on Tubi, but all the others are.
Yeah, it's so weird because part 3 is like arguably the best film in the series, and that's not like a high bar.
You're telling me Camp Blood 666 Part 2 is not the best?
Oh my God. I haven't watched those in ages, but I remember going through like quite a bit of pain, and I will eventually want to go through those because I think it'll be a laugh. Like this was done for fun. Like I knew these weren't going to be good going in. I didn't remember them being this painful though. What I remember about these is that I remember that the cases for these, because Artisan put out, I know that Artisan at least put out the first one, were really good. Like I remember buying it, like, oh wow, this is like a Jason.
I remember over here, the first case had the cast on it, and then the second one had like the cheap Michael Myers looking mask on it with like a knife.
Yeah, it was like if we were to talk about a better constructed film in this like genre, Bleed is one that I think.
Bleed's really good. I enjoy that. The bathtub, the hot tub scene.
Now, Bleed's the only more full moon like slasher film as far as I know, like actual full on one.
What about that? I noticed on Tubi they've got tons of full moon stuff.
They do. Now, did you notice both of these came from Film Rise? Came up at the beginning of the film. So I'm not sure.
One of the best companies in the business.
I mean, this was a bit of a painful endeavor. Like, here's the thing, guys. I had to get up early with my better half this morning, and I went to bed. It was like Right, it was after one. It was almost 2:30ish when we were talking. I think when I was
Yeah.
watching the movie, and I had to
Yeah,
like
it
get
was.
through both of them.
Was that
So last night there was a little kid, and a little tiny one could have fit my hand, black and white, and he was out by the door, and we thought about like, do we take him? Do we take him in? Do we take another cat? But here's the thing. This is what happened. So we went outside, and this is where things got to be later in the night. So we went outside. We decided to feed the cats, all that type of stuff, and followed him around. But he's got a buddy that's a little bit bigger than him, like a white cat. And so we went out initially, saying, okay, we're going to take this cat in. But he was playing with his friend and they were running around and doing stuff. And I'm like, oh, I can't do that. Although he may not have as big a lifespan as he would if we'd taken him in. Like, I think the cat would have been miserable without his friend. Like
I
they
did just
were.
take them both in.
We have another cat coming next week, see? And that'll be cat number 5. So, but if not, because there's definitely here's the thing, guys. I'm a softie when it comes to animals. So I go out every night and I feed the cats, and I see them. I've seen them get bigger. I've seen the ones when they were born, like just after they're born, and now that they're kind of they're bigger cats and stuff. And I name them and stuff like that outside, and I follow them. Some make it, some don't. That's the way, fortunately, the way it goes. But I am very much a softie. If I had the money and the space, more space than money, I would take in every single little one that I could find because I love cats. I prefer animals to humans. I truly do. After watching these movies, I really do. Uh, but no, we thought about it, but we're like, no, those two. And the thing is, the reason that little black cat came to the door is because the white one that had been coming to the door before brought him there. So he's got a bigger cat that's kind of looking out for him. They're kind of a little bit of a team. So we'll watch them and feed them, and they come at the door now. So we give them food by the door as opposed to the ones we
Yeah.
do right outside, which is kind of good. But there, that's my cat adventures for today, guys. I'm a massive cat
Cat
freak.
Adventures. Coming to a cinema near you.
That's it. If I wasn't doing like videos on like movies, who knows, I'd be talking about my cat adventures. Guys, thank you so much for this.
He's always playing with that pussy. That's what he's doing.
Oh man, these were films. I'll say that these were films that came out. It reminds me of that meme that you see, the Simpsons one.
Oh yeah.
With Bart Simpson, and it's got a cake. At least you tried, and he shoves it in the garbage. Yeah, at least you tried. Guys, thanks a lot for watching Bloody Murder. Check them out on Tubi. One of the, in all honesty, one of the better streaming services out there, although there are some commercials within it. And I am a proponent of physical media. I do think that with the right streaming service, you'll end up buying more physical media because you want to save some of the films that you're seeing on these services. One does not.
To be fair to Tubi, unlike most of these other free ones, there's one advert per break, and the other ones have like 3 to 6.
Yeah,
so
Tubi used to be like that, but not anymore. And Tubi, by the way, does originals. Like you watched one last night, didn't you, Malcolm?
Yeah, I watched Twisted House Sitter. I loved it. It was brilliant. I highly recommend it. I think we should start doing a review series of all the sequels of all these movies.
Well, I know Tubi did the Terror Train remakes.
Yeah.
So we'll eventually do those. I know Dad's a massive fan of those.
I love that.
But at least for stuff like that, like they're Tubi exclusive and they're very much easy to find. So a lot of people that are watching these videos will easily be able to find them. And hopefully some of these get physical media releases as well. Because, bad as these bloody murder movies are, here's the killer thing. Here's the thing that kills me, guys. As bad as these movies are, if somebody announced they put these movies in 4K, I'd probably fucking buy them.
Well, you know what? I reckon they're gonna release them in Black Friday with Phantoms.
Yeah, Vinegar Cinnamon. Wouldn't you laugh though if these were the releases like these are?
Oh, that'd be terrible. I'm
You know,
surprised they're not, to be honest.
it's a
I'm really
slasher, so I
surprised.
bought it. It's a slasher, so I buy. They're not good. Like my dad will say, don't pretend. Don't say they're good. They're not good, Dad. I'd probably
I was
still.
gobsmacked. I went
Oh.
down a list of two
Better- oh, wait
originals,
now.
and I'm
I enjoyed him better. Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah, I'll give it that. Yeah, at least these weren't boring. And like even the one that
Oh.
was more boring, yeah, definitely.
still could easily get through them.
Yeah, and they're shorter. Don't you just love that, guys, that we're getting movies that are shorter, like these 80
Oh,
minute,
yeah.
80-minute marks,
I think we should try and go for 45-minute ones.
10 minutes, 10-minute films.
6-minute ones.
Yeah, quick. That'll be quick reviews. Thank you guys so much, and thank you all for watching. We will see you here next time in the Call to Cinema. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. There's a Patreon. Make sure you check that out. Check out Malcolm's channel. It'll be linked down below. Even had some really nice stuff there, and keep an eye out. You never know when he's going to be putting out something else. Going to drop something secret. So there you go. Talk to you guys later. And one thing that's not fun. That's less fun than watching these movies. Playing Bloody Murder, because the sound of the Bloody Murder game, according to the rules, is like Tag's Lamer Brother. It
Yes.
sucks.